Hello and welcome. My name is Lynn, and today I am crafting with the latest Cottage Cutz Black Friday release. This is all about the fabulous 50s, and specifically, I'll be making a full front or infinity shaker card. So, I'm going to first start off by assembling the 50s jukebox, and what I'll do is actually um, die cut the jukebox out of three different colors of cardstock and specialty paper. And then I'm going to mix and match between them. And so by the end of this, I'll actually have three different jukeboxes that I can then use on different projects. I've also got on screen here the guitar, music notes, and records die set, which is really super fun, and I'll be using the music notes from that set. But there's lots of different size records and then that wonderful guitar as well. So there's a little bit of a fun musical theme that I'll be creating with my cards and my card today. And the other die set, which I'll bring on camera, that is from the new release, will also be the one of the 50s phrases die set. And there are two in total in the collection. And so I'll use that, and then I'll also use the retro alphabet, which is an older release. So here you see me starting to assemble my jukebox. And so what I am going to do is try to mix and match all of these three colors. So I've got the silver mirror card, the purple glitter card, and just some plain matte black cardstock. And I'm trying to mix and match these so that I get some variation between the three, and I use all of the all of the pieces across all three. So when you die cut this die plate, there are so many little details and pieces that you have. This right here, which is sort of, I guess, that the front of the speaker, for example, is you can weed out all of the little bits in between, but I kind of like keeping them all in there, and I even put some tape behind there to keep them all together because I rather like the effect of the texture, but I didn't want to poke through all of those little pieces. But if you wanted to back this with a different color so that you have that sort of that mesh grid in one color and then a different color showing through from behind, there is actually another die cut piece that you can layer behind it. But as I mentioned, on all three of mine, I've chosen to leave all of the bits in, and I kind of prefer that look of you can see the pattern a little bit better on the mirror and the matte black. It's a little bit hard to see on the glitter card. But it's there, and it's just a little bit of texture without adding yet another color behind that element. And this piece here, so I do, when I'm assembling any of the Cottage Cutz dies, I do like to look at the packaging because it's a really good reference for where all the pieces are meant to go, how it's meant to look. And I do love that you get the full record if you want to use it as a record, but you can just use it as, just that element that is seen through the window of the jukebox. So really, really fun to put this together. And now I have three of them. I'm only going to use one on my project, but I have three of them to use, and two of them will go on to future projects. And I do love that if you look at that outside curve of the jukebox, it does have some really nice embossed and some of it's, I think, actually cut through. It's just not cut out, but all of that extra detail around there is really, really lovely. Again, the mirror card shows it really, really well. Okay, so today's card is going to be a mini slimline. So I'm going to cut some pattern paper to 3.5 by 6. And that's because I actually happen to have this full front shaker card pouch, I guess, or pocket. This is actually from Cat Scrappiness. If you don't want to buy and you want to make your own full front shaker pocket, all you need to do is cut a piece of acetate that is about an inch wider and an inch taller than your card base. And then you want to score 1/2 inch on all 4 edges and miter the corners. So basically cut off an angle, about a 45-degree angle, but it doesn't have to be perfect. The goal of mitering your corners is to remove excess cardstock so that when you fold each of these glue tabs, like I'm doing here, onto my pattern paper, that you don't have a lot of overlapping acetate. So this is the easiest way, I think, to create a shaker card, and you get the entire panel here as your shaker pocket. And you can actually, you don't necessarily have to have this panel be the entire front of your card base if you didn't want to. I mean, you could make a shaker pocket any size. So once you know how to cut your acetate, you can really customize this to any card size or any size pocket at all if you're just looking to use it as just an element, a shaker element on your project. So this being an infinity shaker, though, I did want to have this be the entire size of my card front, or my mini slimline card front. So my card base will measure 3.5 by 6 inches folded. And I have decided, I didn't know at the start, but I've decided this is going to be a landscape orientation card. So I'm just pulling out some of my shaker bits just to see what all I want to mix in here. And because I've got a lot of silver and purple on the jukebox, I want to bring some of that into the fill. I don't think I actually have any black sequins or confetti or anything, so I'll have to check. Maybe I do in some of my mixes, but that I would have added to my mix if I had it, because I think that would have been a nice way to kind of bring some of those colors into the background. And this is going to make for a really nice backdrop to the rest of our card. So I've just lined the outside 4 edges of my shaker pocket here with some strong red line tape, and I'm going to cut down my card base now. So I've trimmed this to 7 inches by 6, and along the 7-inch edge, I'm scoring it in half at 3.5. And my card base is out of 120-pound cover weight cardstock, and that's because this whole shaker unit is especially if you do get the Cat Scrappiness shaker pockets, the acetate is fairly thick. So you want your card base to be able to kind of hold that, and that way when you open the card, the back of the card doesn't feel, flimsy by comparison to what all is going on to the front of the card. When I make my own shaker cards, I tend to use a thinner, lighter weight acetate. So you could definitely just use what's in your stash. If you already have acetate or transparency film, all of that would work. And it's just that basic idea of cutting your acetate to be an inch wider and taller than your card base, and then just scoring 1/2 inch on all 4 edges, and then mitering those corners, and folding and gluing down your glue tabs. So now comes so the shaker aspect of this card is really, super easy, and that gives you a lot of time to just decorate the rest of your card front. So here's the 50s phrases number 1 that I mentioned earlier. And from here, I'm going to use the the word happy with the little tiles behind them. And what's great about this die plate is that everything is individual and separate, which if you're familiar with Cottage Cutz dies, is how all of the dies are designed, because that gives you ultimate freedom and flexibility when you go to use the die set. You can, if you didn't want to use the word happy, you could spell out somebody's name and still use those kind of the irregular rectangle tiles as a backdrop to those letters. And so by having the letters be different and separate from the other decorative elements, you can combine, mix, and match them and use them however you like. So I am, instead of using the word birthday from the 50s phrases number 1 set, I'm actually going to spell out B-Day using the retro alphabet die set, which is awesome. So it's such a great fit with this collection. So that was the first thing that I thought of to use when I saw this new release, because if you have the retro alphabet, and by the way, there's a huge Black Friday sale up to 85% off. So it may be, I didn't check before recording this, but it may be on sale and at a really fantastic price point. So look for it if you are at all interested in this 50s release, because you may want to get the retro alphabet as well. But what's fantastic about that die set is that, just like I mentioned previously, all of the elements are separate and individual. And if you see on the packaging here how they've kind of backed each letter with different shapes and arrows, and it kind of gives you that feeling of like a diner, or that retro 50s feeling. But all of those different shapes and arrows and whatnot, they're all separate and individual die cuts. So you can pick and choose to assemble and combine them however you like, or not at all if you just want to use the alphabet letters. So that's one thing that's really unique and cool about that die set, because everything is just very individualized. So just depending on the space that you're trying to fill and what shapes fit best, you can pick and choose the accents that you want to add to your letters. And so it's just great. It's a lot of fun to just come up with. You don't have to strictly go by the packaging. You can just come up with what you'd like. On the packaging, a lot of times they actually combine multiple different shapes and arrows and accents and whatnot. But I've kept it pretty simple, just because the happy tiles are pretty simple. It's just the one shape. So I decided B-Day should just be the one shape as well. And so now I'll start to just attach everything to right on top of my acetate. And so it's I'm using a Dottie tape runner, or my dry adhesive runner, tape runner. I find that a dry adhesive works best for me for gluing things onto acetate, better than a liquid adhesive. So that's why I've used that. And the Dottie tape runner, because it's just little dots of dry adhesive, it can work its way around curves and fine lines. And you don't have a lot of excess adhesive hanging off the edge. So here's a final look at the Infinity shaker card that I made today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll try to leave links to everything I used in the description box below. Thank you again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.